Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket queens. And this hand folds around a small blind and we open raise. Again, we've seen this before. And we get called by the big blind. Big blind's playing 30-16. In big blind, he has played 45 hands. He has raised 3-bet once, 1 out of 10. Pre-flop, he's called a 2-bet 40%. So we're looking at a range that looks something like this. We're going to have to take out his 3-betting range. So I do think he's probably going to be 3-betting at a minimum these hands. But I kind of think that's still kind of small raising range. This might be a little bit closer. I mean, it is blind versus blind. So if we take out those hands, then we can look at what other hands is he going to be playing. And it's interesting because I do have a lot of hands here. I've got 27 hands where it is called 2-bet from the blinds range. And you can see suited connectors, offsuit 1-gappers. Looks like we've got some offsuit. I could see 5-2 and 9-6 as those offsuit connectors, so or offsuit 1-gappers. So I think when we look at ranges that are going to be calling, I think we're going to go with something like this. All right, so the flop comes down, Queen 88. That's a big flop for us. We have basically smashed the board here. There is no reason to bet here, and I actually think there's no reason to bet with our entire range. With flush draws, gut shots, we're not betting quads because the only hand that they could have is an 8, and they do have. I mean, we have a lot of junk in our hand. They have a lot of junk in our hand. The quads, maybe we could bet. We could see bet. Full house, no. Because if we have full house, we've got the queens. We got 3 queens accounted for. There's 2 8s accounted for. It's going to be very hard for villain to have any piece of this flop. I think the only time I would really consider betting here with those premium hands is if we were dealing with a really aggressive player, somebody that's probably in the 3-bet range of 15%. Somebody, when we look at the flop check raises or the flop raises, is looking at 20% or more. Somebody that's, just going to constantly bet because they're going to see the board too and realize that, okay, well, there's 2 8s accounted for. There's a queen out there. The likelihood that I have a big hand is going to be small. So I think here we're just going to probably check. What other hands are we checking with? Well, if we're going to be checking quads and full houses and 3 of a kinds, probably the overpair as well. We're going to have our flush draw. Let's get this. Our flush draws, so we're going to say that. Then I think our flush draws are going to be checking to maybe our gut shots. Yeah, maybe our gut shots and probably our overcards or ace king. I think we go check call. I actually think we would check call like those backdoor flushes with like this range, something like that, where we have 8. We've got some. And 9-7. 9-7's probably out. I'm thinking something like that. That's what we're looking for. This 2-card backdoor flush draw. Because we'll have our gut shots. And so I think the red and the pink, these two are what we're probably checking. And then when we look at betting, I think we could do a lot of the other bets. So I would, not really the pairs. Yeah, because we don't want the 8s in there. We don't, that's not a huge number. Yeah, I think you can see it's going to be hard for us to bet and have like draws, because we're using some of these other ones as like our check calling range as well, or maybe even check raising range. So I think some of these hands could be check raising. So because of that, I kind of feel like we're going to be looking at just checking our entire range here, and then we can decide our calling range. So I think pocket pair below the board, that's kind of at the bottom, whether or not we call 2-card backdoor flush draws. Again, do we call those? Maybe. But I think that's going to be our play. So we checked, and then villain 2 checks, and I'm going to say villain 2 is probably going to be checking everything as well. I think it's just a tricky board. I raised, and now I checked. Villain's going to probably check. His float stats look like 33%, 1 out of 33. So he is capable of betting. I just don't think this is a board that I'm going to see a lot of float bets happening. So we're going to give him, yeah, he's going to have 100% of his range. I'm going to have 100% of my range, and we go to the turn. So now we've got the 7, and now I think we're going to be betting here. This is more of a delayed c-bet. We need to get some money in the pot. We're going to be betting our flush draws as well. I think we're going to be betting premium. We're going to be betting overpair our top pair. I think we're going to probably bet some of these pocket pair less than the top cards. And I think that's going to probably be maybe a bluff, part of the bluff. But we're definitely going like the nut flush, the second nut flush. I don't know if we'll go a third nut flush, possibly. Betting still open-ender. We're probably still going to be betting the gut shot here. And yeah, I think these other pairs are looking, these bottom pairs, I think that's where we're looking for the bluffs, along with, you know, your aces. I think the ace parts come into there. I think we're just going to be betting, hoping that at least with these, maybe he folds. We're looking for calls with the big hands. So I think that's what we're going to do. And how much do we bet? I think we're going to be betting at least half pot, maybe going up to 6, 2/3 or 3 3/4. So I think I kind of made a mistake there, and I know we've got a big hand here, so we're hoping, you know, we don't want to run the player out. But I think with the check, if it goes check check and then we bet, was I on the wrong person? Yeah, I was. If we go check check on the flop and then we bet, yeah, some people are going to be folding. Some people are going to be folding. But others might look at that and say, well, why didn't you bet before, you know, on the flush draw? So we might be able to get some calls that we might not have otherwise received. So here, that's our range. That's what I think our checking range is. Or not our checking range, our betting range. And I think it's looking at a situation where we could easily be betting our flush. We could easily be betting a queen or an 8 at this point. We could be betting the draw, you know, the ace of spades, king of spades. We could be betting 9, 10, 5, 6, just because it went check, check. And we probably get called, and we'll probably get called by a wider range than somebody leading out here. So I think just kind of our default play should have been to bet. I don't know what I would have checked. I don't think we could check anything here. because I don't think I'd have a balance. If we check full house or quads, what do we balance that with our junk? What would we be check calling or check raising with? I just don't know. Now, what is villain betting? So this is one where I thought this was me, but we're going to say nut flush, second nut. We're going to say third nut. We're going to give him the open ender. Yeah, possibility he has quads and a full house. Maybe the made flush, maybe three of a kind. Let's color those. Top pair's a possibility. So that's going to be like what we're going for. Yeah, let's just do this. Top pair's a possibility, definitely. Maybe he's bluffing with all of those. Would he be betting with a 9? Yeah, maybe. Would he be betting with a 7? Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if I'd give him the pocket pair less than the board though. So I think he's probably betting something like this, and then it comes back to us. And what do we do? Well, we're definitely going to call. Would there be a check raise? Again, I don't think we're going to really have a check raising range because it's going to be super narrow. It's going to be your quads, your full houses, and then what kind of bluffs would you have? Maybe 9, 10 of spades, maybe 5, 6 of spades where you've got a combo draw. I mean, 9, 10 looks better. That's going to be 9, 10 of spades gives you one combo. So then you could have one combo of, let's say, 8s to offset that. I just don't think we can really have a good check raising range. So if we check, it's probably just going to be a check call. But again, I really think we should be betting this. So how we played it, I think we're calling all of those. We're calling three of a kind. We're calling the top pair. I think we're calling pocket pair less than the top card. I think it's hard for us to get away from that hand. Bottom pair and pocket pair less than the board, probably going to be folding unless it's part of our draws. So I'm still keeping those draws. So you can see 51%, kind of a breakdown. We've got decent hands versus draws. And all of our draws will include those 7s if we have them. Which I guess we don't really have much of those bottom pairs. So river comes out the 8. That's horrible card. If he has an 8, he beat us. But there's only one 8 left. And the question is, would he really have that 8? I don't think I want to bet here. Villain has 97. If we bet maybe half pot 8. What happens if he comes over the top to 24 or 32? Could we call? I think we'd be forced to call, but it's almost like, man, he likely has the 8 unless he's looking at it to say there's 3 8s out there. The chance that I have an 8 is pretty low. So I think what we're just looking to do here is just check call, and I think we're check calling all of our premiums. Actually, quads probably check raise here with quads. But I think full house is going to be a call. I think we're dealing with, and I think probably all of our full houses are going to be calls. I think we can fold a straight or a flush. That's almost like a bluff catch. So 64%. We're probably continuing. I wouldn't continue with ace high or anything else. So I check, villain checks. When villain checks behind, I'm eliminating quads in a full house. That's pretty... well, no, not a full house. He could have like a pocket pair below top pair or a second pair. He could have one of those. And he could potentially have a flush, but could also have, just nothing, something like that. So we do see showdown. I showed the queens. He shows 5s. So he had a pocket pair. I had second pair. I didn't have those 5s because I thought he would have just checked behind with those pocket pair less than the boards, but I guess that kind of makes sense. to also include those hands. He's got a pocket. I mean, that's why he called pre-flop. And then he bet the turn because, hey, he's got a 2-pair hand and I didn't show anything. And especially on a scary board, why wouldn't I bet with ace queen or king queen or queen jack? So he's taking the stab at that and hoping to win the pot. So overall, I think what I missed here was the bet on the turn. That's what I missed. I should have led on the turn. I think I'm getting called on the turn. And then I think if we bet the turn, we probably also bet the river as well. And villain might actually call again with the fives. We bet, about 6. We bet 6 big blinds. He calls, so the pot's 20, and then we bet maybe 10 on the river. That's 16 big blinds that we just make by being aggressive and betting that turn, and then follow it up on the river. Yeah, the 8's going to be scary, but we're going to have to do that. If we get raised, probably going to have to fold. It's a tough fold, but this is 10 NL. I don't know many players that'll be bluff raising on that. They'll have, if they raise, they've got the 8, and that's about all they can have. Maybe pocket 7s, but I don't think pocket 7s would raise that. I think pocket 7s just calls. So not the greatest hands. We'll take some notes. Add here that he calls. BvB call in big blind versus I think 4. I probably did 4 big blinds. Yeah, so then he was 5 of diamonds. And then it was check, bet, check. On queen of spades, 8 of clubs, 8 of spades, 7 of spades, 8 of hearts. All right. Hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.